Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the driver's seat of a fuel tanker, rolling through the foggy plains of Saskatchewan, where the mist curls like a lazy ghost and the highways hum with secrets. Picture it, you're gripping the wheel, your rig's headlights slicing through a soupy haze, the kind that makes you question if you're still on Earth or drifting into some dreamlike void. It's a slow, hypnotic haul, perfect for unwinding. But let SB you probably 1T survive this without a thermos of coffee or a stubborn streak. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and local time. I'm curious where you're drifting off from tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're out here, somewhere west of Regina, the prairie stretching flat and endless, under a sky that's more fog than stars. Your tanker's loaded with diesel, heavy as a small house, and every turn feels like a negotiation with gravity. Saskatchewan's known for its wide open spaces, but tonight, the mist shrinks your world to a 50-foot bubble of dim light. You flick on your wipers, but they just smear the haze, squeaking like a metronome, keeping time with your thoughts. The road's a 2-lane blacktop, no shoulder, just gravel and ditch waiting to swallow you if you drift. You've got 400 miles to go before you hit the delivery point near Saskatoon, and the clock's ticking slow, like it's savoring the night. This isn't just any haul. Tanker drivers in these parts talk about the foggy plains like they're alive, whispering stories of lights that shouldn't be there, voices crackling over CB radios from nowhere. You're not superstitious, but you've heard enough to keep one eye on the mirrors. Back in the 1930s, Saskatchewan's highways were dirt tracks, carved by horse-drawn carts hauling grain. Farmers lost entire wagons in fog like this, swallowed by the plains. Historians still argue whether those vanishings were bad luck or something stranger, like the land itself playing tricks. You smirk, thinking of your GPS modern tech supposed to keep you grounded. Right, but out here, it's just a glowing screen, and the fog doesn't care. You pass a faded sign for a town called Pence. Population 500, give or take. It's the kind of place with one gas station and a diner that hasn't changed since Trudeau was a kid. You're tempted to pull over, stretch your legs, but the schedule's tight, and tanker drivers don't get paid to sightsee. Besides, there's something about this fog that makes stopping feel like admitting defeat. You adjust your seat, the leather creaking, and take a sip of coffee that's gone lukewarm. It tastes like regret, but it keeps you sharp. You're alone, but not lonely not. Yet, the hum of the engine's your companion, steady as a heartbeat, and the road's your story, unspooling mile by mile. A quirky thing about Saskatchewan. Locals swear the fog carries sounds that don't belong. Old-timers at truck stops talk about hearing church bells or coyotes howling when no towns or animals are near. You chuckle, imagining some prairie hipster claiming it's acoustic ley lines or whatever nonsense they post on X. But then your CB radio crackles, unprompted, and you freeze. It's just static, probably, but it's got a rhythm, like someone tapping Morse code. You turn the knob, and it fades, leaving you with the engine's drone and your own pulse. Joke's on you. You think fog's already got you spooked, and you're barely an hour in. You lean back, eyes scanning the road. The fog's thicker now, wrapping your rig like a blanket. You've driven worse blizzards in Alberta, dust storms in Nunavut. This mist has a personality, heavy and curious. You remember a buddy, a long hauler named Dale, who swore Saskatchewan's plains were cursed by bored gods who mess with drivers for kicks. They move the horizon, he'd say, half grinning, half serious. You laughed then, but now, with the road vanishing 10 feet past your hood, you're not so sure. You flick your fog lights on, their yellow glow barely denting the haze, and settle in for the long haul. The plains whispering their secrets just out of reach. You're rolling steady now, the fog still clinging to your tanker like a nosy passenger. But you spot a glow up ahead, a diner, its neon sign buzzing faintly through the mist. It's one of those prairie outposts, a squat brick building with a gravel lot crammed with rigs. You ease off the gas, tires crunching as you pull in, figuring a quick stop won't kill your schedule. The place is called the Rusty Hub, and it's got that timeless vibe: checkered floors, a jukebox that probably plays Hank Williams on loop, and a counter where truckers hunch over coffee like it's their lifeblood. You grab a stool, the vinyl squeaking under you, and order a black coffee, extra strong. The waitress, A woman with a perm that defies physics slides it over with a nod. You're here for caffeine, sure, but also for the whisper-struckers tailies that float around these places like the fog outside. The diner's half full, a mix of long haulers and locals, their voices low, blending with the clink of forks on plates. You overhear two drivers at the next stool, their CB handles stitched on their jackets, Big Moose and Rusty Axle. They're swapping stories about Saskatchewan's foggy plains, the kind that make your ears perk up. Big Moose, a burly guy with a beard like a pine forest, leans in and mutters about a stretch of Highway 11 where tankers down T come back the same. Not wrecks, he says, but drivers who roll through and start acting spooked, claiming they saw shapes in the fog headlights that vanish, silhouettes that don't move right. You smirk into your coffee, thinking it's just road-weary nonsense, but Moose's eyes are dead serious, and Rusty's nodding like it's gospel. Saskatchewan's got a history of weird vibes on its roads. Back in the 1920s, when these highways were just wagon trails, settlers reported ghost lights dancing over the plains during fog. The government chalked it up to swamp gas, but locals called them willoth, the wisps, spirits luring travelers off course. Historians still argue whether it was methane or something cultural, like old-world folklore transplanted to the You take another sip, the coffee bitter but warm, and wonder if those lights are what Moose is hinting at. He lowers his voice, saying a buddy of his, a tanker driver, swore he saw a rig identical to his own trailing him in the fog last winter, only to vanish when he pulled over. Mirage, maybe, Moose grumbles, but that guy quit hauling after. You're not buying it, but there's a quirky tidbit about these planes that sticks with you. Locals claim the fog messes with your sense of time, like you'll drive for hours and check your watch to find only minutes have passed. Some pseudoscience types on X call it a temporal anomaly, which you think is just fancy talk for being bored out of your skull. Still, you glance at the diner's clock, its hands glowing faintly, and realize you've been here longer than you've planned. The fog's thick outside, pressing against the windows like it's eavesdropping. You chuckle, imagining it's jealous of the diner's warmth, and toss a loonie on the counter for the waitress's sass. Big Moose keeps talking, his voice a low rumble, about a tanker driver from the 80s who became a legend around here. They called him Foggy Joe, a guy who hauled fuel through the worst mists and always made his drop on time. Story goes, Joe claimed he talked to the fog, cutting deals to let him pass. One night, he didn't show up, but his rig was found parked on a side road, engine cold, tank full, no sign of him. You roll your eyes. Sounds like a guy who just walked away from the job, but Rusty swears folks still hear Joe as CB handle, Mist Runner, crackling on Channel 19 during fog. You're tempted to make a joke about ghost truckers needing better hobbies, but the diner's quiet hum makes you hold your tongue. You finish your coffee, the cup clinking as you set it down, and glance at the drivers. They're lost in their tailies now, debating whether Foggy Joe is still out there, or just a story to spook newbies. You're itching to get back on the road, but their words linger, like the fog itself, heavy and hard to shake. You pull on your jacket, the zipper loud in the hush, and step outside. The mist swallows you instantly, your rig a vague shadow across the lot. You climb in, the cab's familiar smell of leather and diesel grounding you. The engine roars to life, and you ease back onto the highway, the diner's glow fading in your mirrors. Those stories were just talk, you tell yourself, but you keep one hand on the CB knob, just in case. You're back on the highway now, the fog thicker than ever, wrapping your tanker like a damp blanket as you rumble through Saskatchewan's endless plains. The rusty hubcap's coffee is still buzzing in your veins, but it's no match for the weight of your cargo 40,000 pounds of diesel sloshing behind you, every sway reminding you of the stakes. Driving a tanker isn't like hauling grain or furniture. One wrong move, and you're rolling disaster. You keep your speed steady, hands firm on the wheel, eyes flicking between the road and the mirrors. The fog's playing tricks, smudging the lines, making every mile feel like a test of nerve. You mutter to yourself, half joking, that if you survive this haul, you deserve a medal or, at least, a better Saskatchewan's highways demand respect, especially for tanker drivers. Back in the 1950s, when the Trans-Canada Highway was being paved, tankers like yours were lifelines, hauling fuel to remote farms and towns. A single spill could shut down a route for days, and drivers were trained to treat their rigs like temperamental beasts. You feel that history in your bones, the way the truck groans on curves, the way the fog seems to dare you to blink. Historians still argue whether those early drivers were reckless or just desperate, pushing through storms and mist to keep the prairies alive. You're not sure where you fall on that spectrum, but you're leaning towards stubborn. Your dashboard glows, a constellation of gauges and lights, each one a heartbeat of your rig. Fuel pressure's good, temperature's stable, but you double-check anyway. Tanker drivers don't get second chances. There is a quirky thing about these rigs. The sloshing liquid can push you forward if you brake too hard. Like the cargo's got its own agenda. You learned that the hard way years ago, nearly jackknifing in Montana, when a deer darted across the road. You chuckle, thinking how you told your buddy Dale it was like wrestling a drunk whale. He'd laughed. But out here, alone, you feel the weight of every gallon, every decision. The fog's so dense now. Your headlights are more suggested than fact, painting the road in faint yellow smears. You're on Highway 11, a stretch notorious for swallowing rigs in winter. But tonight, it's the mist that's got you on edge. You remember Big Moose's story from the diner about tankers coming back changed. You shake it off, but your hands tighten on the wheel. There's a rhythm to this. Drop-check mirrors, scan gauges, sip coffee, repeat, but the fog breaks it. Makes you feel like you're driving through someone else's dream. You crack a window, letting the cool, damp air slip in, carrying the faint smell of wet grass and diesel. It's grounding, but only just. A strange tidbit floats up from memory. Some Saskatchewan truckers swear the fog messes with their odometers, racking up miles that don't add up. You glance at yours, 1,237 miles since your last reset. Seems right, but you're not about to do the math. On X, you've seen drivers post about phantom miles, joking it's the planes charging tolls for passing through. You grin, imagining the fog sending you a bill, but the thought fades as a shadow flickers in your side mirror. Just a trick of the light, you tell yourself, but you check again, heart ticking a bit faster. Nothing's there, just the endless grey curtain of mist. You lean back, the seat creaking, and try to focus on the road's fun. Tanker driving's a solitary dance. You think, all about balance, keeping the load steady, the wheels straight, your mind from wandering too far. You recall a trainer's advice: respect the rig, but don't fear it. Easier said than done when the fog's whispering doubts. You're not spooked. Not exactly, but you're starting to get why drivers talk about these planes like they're alive. You ease off the gas a touch, letting the truck settle, and murmur, a half-joke to the empty cab. "All right, Fog, let's make a deal. Just get me to Saskatchewan in one piece." You're deep in the foggy plains now, your tanker humming along Highway 11. The mist's so thick it feels like you're driving through a cloud's belly. The road's a faint ribbon, barely visible, and your headlights struggle to carve out more than a few yards of clarity. You're used to long hauls, but this stretch of Saskatchewan feels different, like the land's holding its breath. Up ahead, a weathered sign looms in the haze, barely legible. Buffalo Pound Provincial Park, 5 kilometers. You've heard of it, a patch of prairie dotted with lakes and history. Named for the way indigenous peoples once herded bison into corrals for hunting. You ease off the gas, not to stop, but to let the moment sink in, the weight of the past, mixing with the fog's quiet grip. This land's got stories older than trucks. Back in the 19th century, the In-Plains Cree used these prairies for massive buffalo hunts, driving herds into Pound's natural traps formed by hills and streams. The park's named for one such site, where bones still turn up after heavy rains. You imagine the thundering hooves, the shouts of hunters, all swallowed now by the mist. Historians still argue whether the buffalo's near extinction was pure economics hide, markets and railroads, or a deliberate act to break indigenous ways of life. You're no scholar, but rolling through this fog, you feel the echo of those losses, heavy as your tanker's load. You pass the park's turnoff, a gravel road vanishing into the grey, and something catches your eye, a flicker of movement in the fog, low and fleeting, like an animal darting across. Probably a coyote, you think, but your pulse ticks up anyway. There is a quirky tale about these plains. Locals say the fog sometimes replays the past, like a glitchy old film. Farmers claim they've seen bison shapes in the mist, ghostly herds that vanish when you blink. You chuckle, picturing some ex-user calling it prairie holograms, but you keep your eyes on the road, just in case. The fog's got a way of making you question what's real. Your tanker rumbles on. The engines drone a steady anchor. You check your mirrors, half expecting that phantom rig Big Moose mentioned, but it's just you and the mist. The park's history lingers in your mind, though. You remember a trucker named Clara, a Cree woman you met at a Regina diner, who said these plains never forget. Drive respectful, she'd told you, half smiling, or the Fogel, teach you manners. You laughed then, but now, with the world shrunk to a hazy bubble, you're starting to get it. You adjust your grip on the wheel, the leather cooled under your palms, and mutter a joking apology to the fog. All right, I'm behaving happy now. The road curves gently, and you lean into it, feeling the diesel slosh behind you. Tanker driving's all about anticipation, reading the road, the weather, the rig's mood. You're good at it, but this fog's testing you, blurring the edges of your focus. You sip your coffee, gone cold now, and grimace. It's terrible, but it's something to do, a tiny rebellion against the monotony. You think back to the diner, Rusty Axel's story about Foggy Joe, and wonder if these plains really do hold on to their ghosts. Not the spooky kind, maybe, but the weight of lives hunters, settlers, drivers who passed through and left their mark. A faint glow appears in the distance, probably another truck's daylights, and you feel a flicker of relief. Company, even at a distance, is welcome out here. You not scare tanker drivers don't have time for that, but the fog has got you introspective, like it's peeling back your thoughts layer by layer. You pass a mile marker, its numbers barely visible, and realize you're halfway to Saskatchewan. The night's young, but it feels ancient, like you're hauling through time itself. You cracked a smile, thinking if the fog's showing you bison ghosts, it could at least throw in a decent coffee shop. For now though, it's just you, the rig, and the whispering plains, carrying you deeper into the mist. You're gliding through the foggy Saskatchewan plains, your tanker's low rumble the only sound cutting through the hush. The mist is relentless, a grey veil that smothers the world, leaving just you, the road, and the faint glow of your dashboard. You're past Buffalo Pound now, the weight of its history lingering like the aftertaste of that diner coffee, bitter, but grounding. You adjust the CB radio knob, more out of habit than hope, and lean forward, squinting into the haze. The road feels alive tonight, not in a creepy way, but like it's watching, waiting for you to slip up. You smirk, thinking if the fog wants drama, it picked the wrong driver. Tanker hauls are all about keeping it steady, not chasing thrills. The CB crackles, unprompted, and you freeze, hand hovering over the dial. It's not static this time, but a voice faint, garbled, like someone shouting through a storm. ... breaker, breaker, anybody copy? It says, then dissolves into a hiss. You grab the mic, thumb pressing the button. This is Lone Star, copy that. Who's out there? No reply, just more static, pulsing like a heartbeat. You try again, but the channel's dead, the silence heavier than before. Saskatchewan's CB chatter is usually sparse, but this feels different, like the fog swallowing sound itself. You set the mic down, a little too hard, and mutter, great, now I'm talking to ghosts. Back in the 1970s, CB radios were the lifeline of the prairies. Truckers used them to warn about ice, cops, or washed-out bridges, building a network that kept haulers like you sane. The RCMP even monitored channels to track stranded drivers during blizzards. Historians still argue whether CB culture shaped modern, social media. Truckers were basically tweeting on Channel 19 before X was a thing. You grin, imagining Big Moose posting Foggy Plains got me spooked. Lol with a blurry rig selfie. But that voice you heard wasn't Moose or Rusty Axel. It felt older, like it didn't belong to this night. There's a quirky rumor about Saskatchewan SEBS. Some drivers swear they pick up echoes in the fog, voices from years, even decades past. You've seen X posts about it. Grainy screenshots of drivers claiming they heard Vietnam-era truckers or 80s haulers griping about fuel prices. Most call it interference radio waves bouncing off the atmosphere, but out here, with the mist pressing in, you're not so sure. You glance at the CB, its green light flickering like it's winking at you. All right, Fog, you whisper, half joking. If you're gonna prank me, at least use a better script. The road curves, and you ease the tanker through, feeling the diesel slosh behind you. Your gauges are steady, but you check them anyway. Tanker drivers live by paranoia, dressed as routine. The fog's so thick now, it's like driving through cotton. Your headlights useless beyond a few feet. You remember Clara, the Cree driver from Regina, saying the planes talk through the fog, carrying warnings or stories. You laughed it off then, but now, with that CB voice echoing in your head, you wonder if she meant something like this. You crack a window, the damp air sharp against your face, and listen. Nothing but the engine's hum and the faint squeak of your wipers. Still, you feel watched. The static flares again, softer this time, and you catch a fragment. Missed runner, you copy, your breath catches. That's Foggy Joe's handle, the legend from the diner, the guy who vanished with his rig. You stare at the CB, heart thudding, and tell yourself it's a coincidence. Probably some joker messing with you, right? You grab the mic ready to call it out, but stop. The fog's too heavy, the night too quiet. You set the mic down, slow, and focus on the road. Not tonight, Joe, you murmur, a nervous chuckle escaping. The planes are messing with you, but you're a tanker driver. You've got a job to do, and no ghost's gonna derail your haul. You're rolling through Saskatchewan's foggy plains, your tanker's engine a steady growl against the eerie quiet. The CB's gone silent again, that missed runner echo fading into the back of your mind, though your hand still hovers near the mic, just in case. The fog's thicker than ever, a living thing that presses against your windshield, turning the highway into a blurry suggestion. Your headlights are barely cutting through, casting a weak glow that vanishes a few feet out. You're on Highway 11, somewhere north of Moose Jaw, but the mist has erased all sense of place. It's just you, the rig, and this endless grey limbo. You lean forward, squinting, as if willpower alone can pierce the haze. Spoiler, it doesn't. This fog's no ordinary weather. Saskatchewan's known for mists so dense they've stranded entire towns. In 1964, a fog bank shut down Regina for 2 days, flights grounded. Roads empty. Folks holed up like it was a snowstorm. Meteorologists say it's the prairie's flatness, cold air pooling over warm soil. But you're starting to think the land's just flexing its mood. Historians still argue whether early settlers exaggerated these fogs in their journals, calling them witch's breath, to scare off rivals. You smirk, imagining some homesteader scribbling, Day 47. Fog ate my cow. But out here, with visibility near zero, you get why they'd spin tall tales. Driving a tanker in this mess is like threading a needle blindfolded. The diesel sloshes behind you, a constant reminder to keep your turns smooth, your speed low. You check your gauges, fuel's fine, temps steady, but the fog's got you second-guessing everything. There is a quirky thing about these planes. Drivers say the mist can make road signs lie. You'll see a marker for a town 10 miles off, then drive for hours and never find it. Ex-posts call it fog amnesia, with truckers swearing they looped past the same sign twice without turning. You glance at a mile marker, Highway 11, km 142, and note it, just to be sure. No tricks tonight, you mutter, half to the fog, half to yourself. Your wipers squeak, a metronome in the silence, and you crack a joke to the empty cab. If I vanish, at least my coffee's already cold, no loss there. But the fog's not laughing. It's disorienting, stealing depth and distance, making the road feel like it's floating. You remember Dale, your long-hauler buddy, saying Saskatchewan's fog once made him miss a turnoff and end up 50 miles off route. Like the planes moved the exit, he'd grumbled. You laughed then, but now, with the world shrunk to a grey bubble, you're not so cocky. You ease off the gas, letting the tanker coast, feeling its weight settle. A shadow flickers in the mist. Just beyond your lights a shape, too big for a coyote, too vague for a car. You blink, and it's gone, leaving your heart thudding. Probably nothing, you tell yourself, but you check your mirrors anyway. Empty. The fog's playing games, like it did with that CB static. You think back to Clara S. words at that Regina diner. Planes talk through the fog. Maybe this is what she meant, not ghosts, but the land itself, bending your senses. You chuckle, imagining the fog as a bored prairie god, doodling shapes to mess with you. Real creative, you say, voice low, but I've got a delivery to make. The road dips, and you feel the tanker shift, a gentle sway that keeps you focused. You're tired, but not sleepy. Tanker drivers don't get that luxury. You sip your coffee, wincing at its bitterness, and scan the haze. No signs, no lights, just the endless grey. You're starting to understand why tanker drivers whisper about these planes. It's not just the fog, it's the way it makes you feel small, like you're a speck in something vast and patient. You grip the wheel tighter, the leather creaking, and murmur, all right, fog, You win this round, but I'm still driving. You're still crawling through Saskatchewan's foggy plains. Your tanker's engine a low, steady hum as you navigate the mist's relentless grip. The highway's barely there, a faint strip of asphalt swallowed by the grey haze, and your headlights are more hope than help, painting the fog in useless yellow streaks. That shadow you glimpsed earlier gone, but it's left you edgy, checking your mirrors more than you need to. The CB's quiet now, no more ghostly mist, runner whispers, but the silence feels heavier, like the fog's holding its breath. You're a tanker driver, though used to long nights and lonely roads, so you shake it off, cracking a dry joke to the empty cab. If the fog is gone, nah, spook me, it'll need better special effects. Your mind drifts to a story you heard years ago, back when you were a rookie hauling grain out of Winnipeg. An old driver named Gus, with a face like weathered leather, told it over coffee at a dive called the Greasy Spoon. He'd driven tankers through Saskatchewan in the 90s, back when GPS was a luxury and fog like this was a death wish. Gus swore he met something on these plains one night, a figure in the mist, standing by the road, wearing an old-fashioned oilskin coat. Didn't move, didn't wave, Gus said, his voice low. Just watched me pass, eyes glowing like taillights. You laughed it off then, chalking it up to road fatigue. But now, with the fog pressing in, Gus's story feels less like a tall tale. Saskatchewan's got a history of strange sightings. In the early 1900s, homesteaders reported night watchers on the prairie's, shadowy figures seen in storms or fog, always at a distance, never approaching. Some called them spirits of lost travelers. Others said they were scouts from forgotten indigenous bands. Historians still argue whether these were mass hallucinations or just lonely people seeing shapes in the dark. You're not sure what to make of it, but you feel the weight of those stories, like the diesel sloshing in your tank, shifting with every turn. There's a quirky detail about these plains that sticks with you. Truckers say the fog can make you see doubles, your own rig reflected in the mist, like a mirror image trailing you. You've seen posts about it, blurry photos of headlights that shouldn't be there, captioned, "Fog's cloning my truck, send help." You glance at your side mirror, half expecting to see your tanker's twin, but it's just the grey curtain, endless and blank. You chuckle, muttering, "If I've got a doppelganger out there, it better split the fuel bill." But the joke lands flat in the quiet cab, and you focus on the road, hands steady on the wheel. You pass a faded sign to Foggy to read, but probably for some tiny town like Chamberlain or Aylesbury. The mist's so thick, it's like driving through a dream, everything soft and unreal. You remember Gus's advice, "Don't stare too long at the fog, it'll stare back." He'd grinned, but his eyes were serious, like he'd learned that lesson the hard way. You'd keep your gaze moving, scanning the gauges, the road, the mirrors. Your tanker's running smooth, but you'd check the pressure anyway. Routines, your anchor when the world's this blurry. The wipers squeak, a steady rhythm, and you sip your cold coffee, grimacing. "Gus, you owe me a better story," you say, voice low, as if he's listening. The fog shifts, thinning for a moment, and you catch a glimpse of the prairie flat, dark, stretching forever. Then it closes in again, like a curtain dropping. You think of that figure Gus saw, its glowing eyes, and wonder if it's out there now, just beyond your lights. Not that you re-scared tanker drivers don't spook easy, but you restarting to get why these planes make drivers whisper. It's not just the fog, it's the way it makes you feel like you're not alone, even when you know you are. You crack a window, the damp air sharp, and murmur, "All right, night watcher. Keep your distance, I've got a delivery to make." You're pushing through the foggy Saskatchewan plains, your tanker's steady rumble a lifeline in the haze. Highway 11 stretches ahead, or at least you think it does. The fog's so thick, it's like driving through a bowl of soup. Your headlights flicker, barely denting the mist, and the road's edges are more memory than fact. You're wired now, that eerie CB static and Gus's night watcher story gnawing at the edges of your focus. You grip the wheel, the leather cool under your palms, and mutter a half-joke. If the fog's hiding monsters, they better pay road tax. The cab stays quiet, no laugh track for your one-liners, just the wipers squeak and the engines drone. These plains aren't just empty, they're treacherous. Back in the 1940s, Saskatchewan's highways were death traps in winter, with fog and ice turning gravel roads into skating rinks. Tanker drivers were the worst off. A single skid could spark a fire that had burned for days. You've read about a 1947 spill near Davidson, where a diesel tanker flipped, shutting down the road for a week. Historians still argue whether the driver swerved for a deer or just lost the road in the fog. You feel that history in your rig's weight, the way the diesel sloshes, urging you to stay sharp. One wrong move, and you're not just latch you're a headline. Tonight though, it's not ice you're dodging but the fog's hidden hazards. Potholes lurk under the mist, ready to jolt your tanker off course. You've heard of ghost ruts, out here old wagon tracks from the 1800s, barely visible but deep enough to grab a tire. Some trucker on X swore they got stuck in one. Fog so bad they didn't see it coming. You chuckle, picturing a rig trapped like it's in a museum diorama, but you ease off the gas anyway, keeping your speed low. No ruts for me, you say, as if the fog's listening. Your gauges glow steady, but you check them twice. Tanker drivers don't trust luck. The mist shifts, and for a split second, you swear you see a chapeau, hulking shadow, like a tractor abandoned on the shoulder. You blink, and it's gone, swallowed by the grey. Your heart ticks up, but you shake it off. Probably just a bush or a sign, right? Still, you remember Clara's warning about the planes talking through the fog. Maybe it's not ghosts but the land itself, tossing up mirages to keep you guessing. You crack a grin, muttering, "Nice try, prairie, but I'm not pulling over for your shadow puppets." The humor helps, but your eyes stay glued to the road. There's a quirky thing about these highways. Locals say the fog hides lost turns, exits that appear in the mist but lead nowhere. You've seen posts about drivers following a turnoff, only to end up on a dirt track to an empty field. You pass a sign, half faded, for a place called Keniston, and note its position. If it pops up again too soon, you'll know the fog's playing games. For now, you keep straight. The tanker's weight a constant reminder to stay grounded. You sip your coffee, wincing at its cold, bitter bite, and think of Gus's glowing-eyed figure. Was it fog, fatigue, or something else? You're not spooked, but you're starting to respect this mist's tricks. The road dips, and you ease the tanker through, feeling the cargo shift. You're alone, but the fog makes it feel like something's out there, just beyond your lights. You recall Big Moose's diner tale about tankers coming back changed. Maybe it's not ghosts, but the planes themselves, wearing drivers down until they see what isn't there. You check your mirrors, empty, as always, and murmur, "Keep it boring, fog. I've got a delivery to make." The highway hums under your tires, and you settle in, one hand on the wheel, the other near the CB, ready for whatever the mist throws next. You're deep in the foggy Saskatchewan plains, your tanker rumbling along Highway 11, the mist so thick it's like driving through a dream someone else is having. The road's a faint smear, your headlights barely denting the grey, and every mile feels like a negotiation with the unknown. That shadow you glimpsed earlier, tractor, bush, or fog's cruel prankers. You checking your mirrors more than usual, but there's nothing but haze. You're tired, not sleepy, the kind of bone-deep fatigue that makes the world feel soft at the edges. You crack a dry joke to the cab. If the fog's hiring actors, it's got a flair for drama. The silence swallows it, leaving just the engine's hum and the wiper's steady squeak. Up ahead, a faint glow cuts through the Meester rest stop, its neon sign flickering like a dying star. You ease off the gas, tires crunching as you pull into the gravel lot of a place called Prairie Oasis, a diner truck stop hybrid that looks like it hasn't changed since the 70s. You park your tanker, careful to keep it level. Spills aren't just bad news, they're your job on the line. The lot's sparse, just a couple of rigs and a pickup, their shapes blurred by the fog. You grab your jacket, step out, and feel the damp air hit you, carrying the smell of diesel and wet grass. Inside, the diner's warm, with Formica counters and a jukebox glowing in the corner, playing something twangy and soft. You slide into a booth, the vinyl creaking, and order a coffee, black, no frills. The waiter, a lanky guy with a name tag reading Earl, gives you a nod like he's seen 1,000 drivers like you. Rest stops like this are the heart of Saskatchewan's highways. Back in the 1960s, when the Trans-Canada was still half dirt, places like Prairie Oasis were lifelines for truckers, offering hot meals and a place to shake off the road's loneliness. Historians still argue whether these diners saved more lives by feeding drivers or by giving them a reason to stop before the fog won. You sip your coffee, scalding and bitter, and feel a flicker of gratitude for Earl's no-nonsense pour. There's a quirky thing about prairie rest stops. They're magnets for stories. The kind truckers swap when the night's too long and the road's too quiet. You overhear two drivers at the counter, their voices low, talking about a wandering light that follows rigs through the fog. Not headlights, not a car, just a glow, bobbing like a lantern, always out of reach. One guy, with a handlebar moustache, swears he saw it last week, trailing his flatbed for miles before it vanished. You smirk, thinking it sounds like something you'd read on X, posted with a shaky video and a caption like "Saskatchewan's got ghosts, y'all." But your smile fades when Earl chimes in, deadpan, "Seen it myself, ain't no car." You lean back, the booth creaking, and let your mind wander. You're no stranger to long hauls, but these planes are different, the fog making every stop feel like a pause in a bigger story. You think of Gus's Night Watcher, Clara's Talking Planes, that CB crackle calling Mist Runner. Maybe it's the coffee, the lack of sleep, but you're restarting to wonder if the fog est weaving these tales together, like it's got a point to make. You chuckle, muttering, "All right, fog, you're a lousy storyteller, but I'm listening." Earl glances over, raising an eyebrow, and you shrugged, playing it off. The diner's hum grounds, you clinking dishes, the jukebox's soft croon, the murmur of tired voices. You're halfway to Saskatoon, your tanker waiting outside like a patient beast. You remember Dale's story about the fog moving exits, and you check your watch, making sure time's still behaving. It is, for now. You finish your coffee, toss a few bucks on the table, and head back to the lot. The fog's waiting, thicker than ever, curling around your rig like it's claiming it. You climb in, the cab's familiar smell of leather and diesel steadying you, and murmur, "Brakes over, fog. Let's keep this boring." The engine roars, and you pull out, the diner's glow fading fast in the mist. You're back on Highway 11, your tanker cutting through Saskatchewan's foggy plains. The mist so dense it feels like you're hauling through a ghost's daydream. The Prairie Oasis diner's warmth is a fading memory, replaced by the cool damp of the cab and the engine's steady growl. Your headlights are barely winning against the haze, painting the road in faint, flickering yellow. You're alert, but the fog's relentless, blurring the line between what's real and what's just your mind filling in the gaps. You check your mirrors empty, as always, and mutter a half-joke. If the fog's got a map, it's not sharing. The cab stays quiet, your wipers squeaking in reply. This stretch of highway feels ancient, like you're tracing a path older than the asphalt under your tires. Saskatchewan's prairies were once crisscrossed by trade routes, used by indigenous peoples and later by fur traders, hauling goods in Red River carts. By the 1800s, these trails linked forts and settlements, carrying everything from pemmican to beaver pelts. You're rolling over one now, or near it. Highway 11 follows the old Carlton Trail, a route that saw ox carts creak through fog just like this. Historians still argue whether the trail's ruts, worn deep by centuries of travel, shaped modern highways or just faded into legend. You feel those echoes, though, the weight of countless journeys humming beneath your rig. There is a quirky story about these old routes. Some drivers claim the fog wakes them, making you hear creaks or hoofbeats, like the planes are replaying their past. You've seen posts about truckers swearing they heard cartwheels or distant shouts in the mist, captioned "Saskatchewan's time machine strikes again." You smirk, thinking it's just the wind or an overactive imagination, but you crack your window anyway, letting the damp air slip in. Nothing but the engine's drone and the faint rustle of grass. Still, you're restarting to get why tanker drivers whisper about these planes. They, VA, got a knack for making you question your senses. You pass a mile marker, its numbers ghostly in the fog. KM 180, you're making progress. Slow but sure, your tanker's load sloshing with every gentle turn. You check your gauge's pressure's good. Temp's fine, but the fog's got you on edge, like it's hiding something just beyond your lights. You remember Earl's wandering light story from the diner, that bobbing glow no one can explain. You're not spooked, not exactly, but you keep your eyes moving, scanning for anything that doesn't belong. A flicker catches your attention, a faint pulse in the mist, too steady for lightning. You blink, and it's gone, leaving you wondering if it was just your headlights bouncing back. Your mind drifts to Gus's Night Watcher, standing in the fog with glowing eyes, and Clara's warning about the planes talking. Maybe these old trade routes are the key, their history seeping into the mist like groundwater. You chuckle, muttering, "If I'm hauling through a time warp, I better get overtime." The joke's for you. but it helps. Cutting through the fog's heavy silence, you sip your coffee, cold and awful, and grimace. It's less about taste now and more about ritual, something to keep you tethered to the job. You're a tanker, drive along nights, and weird vibes come with the territory. But you've got a delivery to make. The road curves, and you ease the tanker through, feeling its weight settle. You think of Foggy Joe, the legend from the rusty hubcap, his CB handle crackling through the static. Was he following these same trails, lost in a fog that never lifted? You shake your head, focusing on the present, the hum of your rig, the squeak of your wipers, the endless grey ahead. The plains are patient, you think, carrying their stories through time, waiting for drivers like you to listen. You grip the wheel tighter, murmuring, "All right, trail, keep your secrets just, don't mess with my schedule." The fog rolls on, and so do you, deeper into the night. You're still rolling through Saskatchewan's foggy plains, your tanker's engine a steady pulse against the smothering mist. Highway 11 is barely visible, a faint thread of asphalt swallowed by the grey, and your headlights are fighting a losing battle, their glow fading just past the hood. The fog's got a weight now, like it's pressing down on your rig, making every mile feel like a test of will. You check your gauge's fuel pressure's solid, temps holding and lean back, the seat creaking under you. You're alone, but the plains feel alive, whispering through the haze. You mutter a half-joke to the cab. "If the fog's charging rent, I'm filing a complaint." The silence eats it, leaving just the wipers squeak and the diesel's low hum. Your tanker's the star of this haul, a beast of steel and fuel that demands your respect. Tankers aren't like other rigs. They're temperamental, their liquid cargo sloshing like an impatient passenger. Back in the 1980s, Saskatchewan's oil boom meant tankers like yours were the lifeblood of the prairies, hauling diesel to farms and towns that kept the economy breathing. A single driver could make or break a harvest season, delivering fuel just in time for combines to roll. Historians still argue whether that boom saved rural Saskatchewan or just delayed its decline, tying towns to a resource that would eventually dwindle. You feel that history in your rig's weight, the way it sways, urging you to stay sharp. There is a quirky thing about tankers out here. Drivers say the fog makes the cargo sing. Not a song, exactly, but a low hum from the liquid shifting in the tank, like it's reacting to the mist. You've seen posts about it, truckers recording faint vibrations and joking, "My diesel's serenading the fog." You listen now, ear tuned to your rig, and catch it, a subtle thrum, almost musical, blending with the engine's drone. Maybe it's just physics, the cold air messing with the tank's metal, but out here, it feels like the plains are harmonizing with your load. You chuckle, murmuring nice pipes, but don't quit your day job. You check your mirrors, the fog a blank wall behind you, and think of Gus's night watcher, those glowing eyes in the mist. The tanker's rhythm grounds you, its gauges a steady pulse, but the fog's relentless, blurring the line between road and nowhere. You remember a mechanic in Regina, a guy named Pete, who said tankers are like living things, feed them right, and they'll carry you through anything. You've kept this one happy, checking valves and hoses at every stop, but the fog's testing both of you. A flicker catches your eye, a faint light, bobbing in the haze, like Earl's wandering light from the diner. You blink, and it's gone, leaving your heart ticking faster. "Not falling for it," you say, voice low, as if the fog's listening. The road dips, and you ease the tanker through, feeling the cargo shift, a slow wave that keeps you focused. You're past the halfway mark to Saskatoon, but time's slippery in this mist, like those phantom miles drivers talk about. You glance at your odometer, 1,298 miles, since the reset, and wonder if it's lying. The fog's got a way of bending reality, making you question what's solid. You think of Clara's words, "Planes talk through the fog," and wonder if your tanker's hum is part of that conversation. You crack a smile, muttering, "If my rig's chatting with the mist, it better keep it professional." The humor helps, but you keep your eyes moving, scanning the haze for signs, shadows, anything. Your coffee's gone, the cup empty in the holder, and you miss its bitter kick. The tanker's rhythm is your anchor now, its steady thrum, a reminder you've got a job to do. You not spooked by the fog's tricks, not yet, but you restarting to respect its game. The plains are old, patient, and they've seen drivers come and go. You grip the wheel, the leather worn smooth under your hands, and murmur, "All right, tanker, you and me, let's keep this haul boring." The fog rolls on, and so do you. The rigs hum, carrying you deeper into the night. You're hauling through Saskatchewan's foggy plains, your tanker's engine a low, faithful hum cutting through the mist's heavy silence. Highway 11 is a ghost of a road, swallowed by the grey haze, your headlights barely sketching out the asphalt ahead. The fog's got a personality tonight, curling around your rig like it's sizing you up, daring you to blink. You're steady though, hands firm on the wheel, the tanker's weight a constant reminder to keep it smooth. That singing hum from the cargo probably just physics, but eerie all the same has faded, leaving you with the wipers squeak and the cab's familiar creak. You mutter a dry joke. If the fog's got a guest list, I'm crashing it. The quiet eats your words, but it keeps you grounded. Up ahead, a faint shape looms in the mister. Pickup truck parked on the shoulder, its hazard lights pulsing like a slow heartbeat. You ease off the gas, giving it a wide berth, and spot a figure leaning against the hood, waving you down. You pull over, tires crunching on gravel, and crack your window. The guy's a local, maybe a farmer, with a weathered jacket and a face half hidden by a ball cap. Name's Cal, he says, voice rough but friendly. Got a flat, no spare. Mind a quick chat while I wait for my brother? You nod, figuring a few minutes won't kill your schedule, and he leans on your door, the fog framing him like a scene from a grainy film. Cal's got a story, the kind that feels like it's been simmering in these plains forever. He tells you about a phantom convoy some locals swear they've seen in the Foggy line of old trucks. 50 Zero Max and Internationals, rolling silent with no drivers. My granddad saw M in 72, Cal says, eyes on the mist. Said they passed right through his field, left no tracks. You raise an eyebrow, but he's dead serious, like he's recounting yesterday's weather. Saskatchewan's got a history of tall tales, but this one's new to you. Back in the 1930s, freight haulers formed convoys to cross the prairies, sharing fuel and muscle to beat storms. Historians still argue whether those early drivers vanished due to fog or just bad luck, leaving stories like Cal's to fill the gaps. There's a quirky detail about these plains. Farmers like Cal claim the fog borrows things, tools, tires, even time. You've seen posts about it, photos of missing fence posts with captions like "Fog's a thief out here." Cal grins, saying his dad once lost a whole toolbox, found it a mile away after the mist cleared. You chuckle, muttering, "If the fog's stealing, it can have my coffee, it's trash anyway." Cal laughs, a short bark, and glances at the haze. "Careful what you offer," he says, half joking. You check your watch times, moving right. No temporal anomalies tonight, but you feel the fog's pull, like it's listening to Cal's tale. You think of Gus's night watcher, Earl's wandering light, that CB crackle calling mist runner. Cal's convoy fits the pattern, another thread in the plains' foggy tapestry. You're not buying it wholesale, but the mist's got you wondering what's out there, just beyond your lights. A pair of headlights approaches, probably Cal's brother, and he steps back, giving you a wave. "Safe haul," he says, and you nod, easing the tanker back onto the road. The pickup fades in your mirrors, swallowed by the grey, and you're alone again. The rigs hum your only company. The fog thickens, wrapping your tanker like a cocoon, and you check your gauges steady. As always, Cal's story lingers, those ghost trucks rolling through the mist. No tracks, no trace. You smirk, imagining them passing you now, their chrome glinting in the haze. "Keep it moving, boys," you murmur, a nod to the plains' restless history. You're a tanker driver, built for long nights and weird vibes, but these plains are teaching you respect, one foggy mile at a time. The road stretches on, and you settle in, ready for whatever the mist has left to say. You're deep in the foggy Saskatchewan plains, your tanker's steady rumble slicing through the mist's oppressive hush. Highway 11 is a faint thread, barely holding together in the grey, your headlights struggling to carve out a path. The fog's thicker now, a living wall that seems to pulse with every mile, and you're hyper-aware of every creak in the cab, every sway of the diesel behind you. Cal's phantom convoy story is still rattling around your head. Ghost trucks, rolling silent, no tracks, no drivers. You check your mirrors, half expecting to see those 50s Max trailing you, but it's just the endless haze. You mutter a quick joke. "If the fog's got a carpool, I'm not joining." The cab stays quiet, your wipers squeak the only reply. Something's different now though. The fog feels heavier, like it's not just weather but a presence, trailing you as closely as your own shadow. You've driven plenty of long hauls, deserts, mountains, ice roads, but this mist has a grip, making your tanker feel small, like a toy in a vast grey sea. You recall a moment years ago, hauling through Nevada, when a dust storm made you feel watched. This is worse. You not scared tanker drivers Dan T have time for that, but you starting to think. Clara was onto something when she said the planes talk through the fog. You gripped the wheel tighter, murmuring, "All right, planes, I'm listening, what's your deal?" Saskatchewan's highways have always been moody. In the 1910s, when these roads were just dirt tracks, settlers wrote about shadow chasers, dark shapes seen in fog or dust, always at the edge of sight, never close enough to name. Some blamed exhaustion. Others called them spirits of the land, guarding old trails. Historians still argue whether these were folklore or early signs of prairie madness, the isolation breaking minds before winter even hit. You feel that history now, the fog carrying whispers of those who traveled before you, traders, settlers, drivers like Foggy Joe, maybe even Cal's granddad. The plains don't forget, and tonight, they're in a chatty mood. There's a quirky thing about this stretch. Truckers say the fog can mirror your rig, showing you glimpses of your own lights in the mist, like you're chasing yourself. You've seen posts about it, shaky videos of headlights doubling in the haze, captioned, "Fog's got my twin out here." You glance at your side mirror, and freezer. Faint glow steady in yellow trails you for a moment, before vanishing. Your heart ticks up, but you shake it off. Just a reflection, right? Still, you think of Earl's wandering light, Gus's night watcher, and now this. You chuckle, voice low. If I'm my own ghost, I owe myself a better coffee run. The road curves, and you ease the tanker through, feeling the cargo slosh, a slow wave that keeps you focused. You check your gauges, everything's steady, but you're not taking chances. The fog's got you on edge, making every shadow a question mark. You remember Dale's story about the fog moving exits, and you note a mile marker KM 210 just to anchor yourself. The planes are playing tricks, but you're a tanker driver, built for the grind. You think of that CB crackle, mist runner, and wonder if Joe's out there, caught in the same fog, watching you like you're watching the road. You smirk, muttering, "Joe, if you're tailing me, keep your distance. I don't need a backseat driver." A faint hum cuts through the silence, not your tanker's song, but something else, low and rhythmic, like a pulse in the mist. You strain to hear it, but it fades, leaving you questioning if it was there at all. The fog's messing with you, bending sound, light, time itself. You're not spooked, not yet, but you're starting to get why tanker drivers whisper about these planes. It's not just the mist, it's the way it makes you feel like something's out there, just beyond your lights, matching your pace. You settle back, the seat creaking, and focus on the road. Keep it boring. "Fog," you say, voice steady, as you haul deeper into the night. You're still gliding through Saskatchewan's foggy plains, your tanker's engine a steady thrum against the mist's suffocating hush. Highway 11 is a faint whisper of asphalt, barely holding its own in the grey, and your headlights are more prayer than power, their glow swallowed just past the hood. The fog's relentless, curling around your rig like it's got plans, and that eerie hum you heard real, or not, has you checking your mirrors for shadows that Dan T belong. You're close to Saskatoon now, maybe 50 miles, but the fog makes distance a guess, time a suggestion. You mutter a tired joke. If the fog's got a finish line, it's hiding it. The cab stays quiet, the wipers squeak your only answer. The first hint of dawn is creeping in, a faint blush at the edges of the mist, like the planes are exhaling light. It's not enough to see by, but it's something, a promise the night's almost done. Saskatchewan's sunrises are legendary, painting the prairies in golds and pinks, but in fog like this, they're slow, secretive, like the land's reluctant to show its face. Back in the 1920s, farmers used dawn as a lifeline, navigating fog-bound fields by the sun's first rays. Historians still argue whether those early risers were brilliant or just desperate, trusting a sliver of light to beat the mist. You feel their gamble now, your eyes straining for that glow to guide you. There's a quirky thing about prairie dawns. Truckers say the fog thins just before sunrise, revealing glimpses of the land, like a curtain parting. You've seen posts about it, drivers snapping hazy photos of fields or grain elevators emerging like ghosts, captioned planes playing peekaboo. You squint ahead, and sure enough, the mist softens. letting you catch a fleeting view of the prairie flat, endless, dotted with the dark shapes of hay bales. It's beautiful in a lonely way, the kind that makes you feel small but not insignificant. You chuckle, murmuring, "All right, fog, you're showing off now, nice view." Though the tanker's weight feels lighter somehow, or maybe it's just you, buoyed by the dawn's promise. You check your gauge, still steady, always steady, and feel the cargo slosh, a familiar rhythm that's carried you through the night. You think of Cal's phantom convoy, Gus's night watcher, that CB crackle whispering mist runner. The fog's been throwing stories at you all night, each one weirder than the last, but this sunrise feels like a truce. You remember Clara's words about the planes talking, and maybe this is their final word, a quiet reveal of the land's beauty, a reward for making it through. You smirk, muttering, "If this is your apology, planes, I'll take it." A sign emerges from the mist. Saskatoon, 45 kilometers east, just a fraction. The fog's still thick, but the dawn's light is winning, casting a soft glow that makes the haze less menacing. You recall Earl's wandering light, that bobbing glow no one could pin down, and wonder if it was just the sunrise playing tricks, reflecting off the mist. You're not one for ghost stories, but these planes have a way of making you question. The road straightens, and you ease the tanker along, feeling the night's weight lift with every mile. You're almost there, the delivery point, close enough to taste, like the last sip of that awful coffee you ditched hours ago. The prairie's waking up, its shapes sharper now, fences, silos, the occasional tree standing like a sentinel. You're a tanker driver, built for the grind, and you've outlasted the fog's games. You think of Dale's story, the exits that moved, and check your odometer. 1,342 miles since the reset. No phantom miles tonight. The fog's parting, revealing the plains' haunting beauty, and you feel a quiet pride. You murmur, "All right, Saskatchewan, you're pretty when you're not trying to spook me." The dawn's glow spreads, and you roll on, the tanker's hum carrying you toward the finish line. You're nearing the end of your haul through Saskatchewan's foggy plains, your tanker's engine a soft, steady hum as the mist finally begins to lift. Highway 11 is clearer now, the asphalt a solid line under your tires, and the dawn's light paints the prairie in gentle hues of gold and lavender. Saskatoon's just 20 miles off, its grain elevators already faint shapes on the horizon, like sentinels welcoming you home. The fog's retreating, curling back into the ditches, but its presence lingers, a quiet reminder of the night you've just endured. You lean back, the seat creaking, and mutter a tired joke. Fog, you're a lousy host, but great exit. The cab's silence feels softer now, the wipers squeak, slowing as the mist fades. These plains have a way of leaving their mark. Saskatchewan's highways, carved from old trade routes and settler trails, have carried stories for centuries, tales of buffalo hunts, ox carts, and drivers like you, hauling through nights that test your grit. In the 1990s, tanker drivers were the unsung heroes of the prairies, keeping farms and towns alive with fuel deliveries through fog and snow. Historians still argue whether their stubborn runs shaped Saskatchewan's identity or just proved humans are too bullheaded to quit. You feel that legacy in your rig's weight, the diesel sloshing behind you, a final nod to the plains' endless demands. There's a quirky thing about these hauls. Truckers say the fog gives back at the end, showing you something beautiful to make up for the spooks. You've seen posts about it, drivers sharing sunrise shots, fields glowing like they're lit from within, captioned planes saying sorry. You glance out now, and the prairie delivers. Rolling hills, dew-kissed grass, a lone hawk circling low. It's quiet, almost holy, the kind of view that makes you forget the cold coffee and phantom lights. You chuckle, murmuring, "All right, planes, you're forgiven, just don't pull this fog stunt tomorrow." You check your gauges, one last time, pressure's good, temps fine, and feel the tanker settle. Its rhythm as familiar as your own pulse. The stories from the night, Gus's night watcher, Cal's phantom convoy, that CB crackle whispering mist runner, feel distant now, like dreams fading in the light. You think of Clara's words, the planes talking through the fog, and realize they've been speaking all along, weaving history and mystery into every mile. You're not one for ghost stories, but you're starting to respect the fog's way of telling them. You smirk, muttering, "If Foggy Joe's out there, hope he made his drop." The road straightens, Saskatoon's skyline growing sharper, and you feel the hauls end in your bones. You've outlasted the fog's tricks, the plains whispers, and your own doubts. A sign flashes by Saskatoon, 10 kilometers, and you ease off the gas, letting the tanker coast. The prairie's awake now, its colors soft but vivid, like it's been waiting to show you this all along. You think of Dale's moved exits, Earl's wandering light, and wonder if the fog was testing you, seeing if you'd listen to the plains' quiet song. You did, and you're still here, rolling steady toward the delivery point. As the fog fades, your thoughts slow, the night's weight lifting like mist in the sun. You're almost there. The tankers hum a gentle lullaby, the prairie stretching wide and calm around you. The stories, the shadows, the whispers, they're part of the haul, part of the plains' endless tale. You breathe deep, the cab's leather and diesel smell grounding you, and let the road carry you home. The world softens now, the prairie's golden glow wrapping you like a warm blanket. Your tanker's hum fades to a whisper, the highway a smooth ribbon guiding you toward rest. Saskatoon's lights twinkle ahead, but there's no rush. The plains have taught you patience, their foggy tales settling into your bones. You feel the night stories, cowls, ghost trucks, Gus's watcher, Clara's talking, mist drifting away, like fog burning off in the dawn. They're not gone, just waiting for another driver, another night. Your eyelids grow heavy, the road's gentle sway, rocking you toward peace. The prairie's quiet now, its secrets safe, and you're safe too, carried by the hum of a job well done. Let the plains hold you, let the light fade, and drift into the calm you've earned. Sleep easy, driver. Sweet dreams.